Человек живет, мечтая и планируя.
We are planning and dreaming. We are armed with our powers of generations. People conquer new heights
Даже закон
and break the laws. People are changing the world they're living in.
страна.
We are growing and developing our country. We build new railways and roads, new vehicles and new cities. And everything is aimed to make people happier despite of all difficulties and challenges. Development of the country is a care of its transport infrastructure and construction of decent housing for people. Today, Russia has a strategy of such a development. We are going to rapidly restructurize our transportation infrastructure to achieve the best fruitful cooperation with friendly countries. In every region of Russia, we should have a link to the total chain to ensure turnover of goods, materials, and services. Today, transportation means adoption of innovations and introduction of best technologies and alternative power sources. And AI is a help for us to that. Since today, we can plan our life in order to live better tomorrow.
Для приветствия участников международного
To greet the participants of the International Congress Transportation and Construction, we invite Radi Khabirov, the head of the Republic of Bashkortostan.
Добрый день, уважаемые коллеги.
Good afternoon, dear colleagues. I'm very happy to see all of the participants and guests of our Congress. Dear colleagues, let me greet
Главных партнеров
our key partners, a big delegation of the Republic of Belarus, led by Roman Golovchenko, the Prime Minister of the Republic of Belarus. Your applause.
У нас сегодня очень
Today we have a busy day.
насыщенные точки нашего развития.
We have defined our further growth points. Belarus is our reliable and responsible partner. We are living in a great time. We see big-scale constructions that are breathtaking. We have ambitious dreams and achievements. Let me, on behalf of the Republic of Bashkortostan and 4 million of Bashkortostans, greet you here and express my gratitude for coming here. We even ensured the good weather for you. I hope that this Congress will be traditional and we will regularly exchange experience and best practices in transportation in constructions. We are wishing you great success and meet again next year. Thank you.
Для приветствия участников Международного конгресса
To greet the participants of the Republic of Bashkortostan's Transportation and Construction International Congress, we invite Roman Golovchenko, the Prime Minister of the Republic of Bashkortostan, the Republic of Belarus, sorry.
Добрый день,
Good afternoon,
друзья.
dear friends.
Я рад от
I am glad to represent the government of the Republic of Belarus.
делегации
And on behalf of all our delegation, greet the participants and organizers of this plenary session.
за
I'm happy to thank
выступить в качестве
for the invitation to the Republic of Belarus to be the partner of Transport and Construction First International Congress.
мероприятия
Such an event is an effective platform for an open
отраслей
dialogue for experts, public officials,
с
and entrepreneurs.
развернутой повесткой, на мой взгляд,
We have an extended agenda,
в условиях
which is important for us under the unstable global economy, with interrupted logistic chains and sanction pressure on our states.
с которыми мы столкнулись, они требуют
We accept the challenges that we encounter, but that will take out-of-the-box solutions and cooperative efforts.
Пример
It's another example of reputational and investment cooperation between Russia and Belarus. We cooperate in different industries, in mechanical engineering, in transport, in construction,
общениями из широкого спектра.
and none of the industry can be excluded of the list.
Очень такой момент, наверное,
Now we are at the point
вызов для транспортников, для
of challenges for transport and construction and logistics
на современном.
workers, because shipping of cargoes and goods
У нас,
is transforming.
знаете, прекратилось
As you know,
перебойное сообщение с
we stopped continuous
тем не менее
shipments with the
логистические цепочки. Здесь мы работаем
Europe,
и ставим перед
European Union, and now we have to establish new targets and objectives. For the Republic of Belarus,
вызов
it's a huge challenge
прекращения возможности
to
поставок наших грузов.
not be able anymore ship our goods through marine ports of the Baltic states.
Нам потребовалось
And we needed
напряженную, но
to undertake an intensive
активную работу совместно
but fruitful work together with our colleagues from the Ministry of Transportation of Russia and Russian railways,
для того, чтобы
port operators, in order to build the new infrastructure for shipping of our cargoes through Russian ports,
западного региона
through North,
Российского морей
West, and
в направлении
Black Sea ports of the Russian Federation, and Chinese logistic chains facilitated this process. We joined the direction towards Iran and the Caspian Sea.
что именно
Without exaggeration, I must say that today
происходит процесс
we are witnessing
ткания той
the process of creation
карты.
of the new map
В самое ближайшее время будут и
that will
новые.
soon demonstrate new transportation corridors.
Я очень рад присутствовать
I'm very glad to be here today
с этой трибуны
and be able to speak
о том, что Республика Беларусь
publicly and state that the Republic of Belarus and the Russian Federation are well coordinated
стоят тому внешнему
and they are cooperative
наши
against the pressure our states are exposed to.
порой вырабатывают
We are going down this challenging path together.
это здесь и сейчас, что называется.
We are doing things here and now. We have a long way to go,
Я уверен, что
and it's a challenging way, but I'm convinced
взаимодействие
if we
наш-
go on like this,
нам все эти вызовы
all these challenges
по плечу
will be overcome by us easily,
пар-
especially if we stick to one another
друзья
and establish partnerships with our good friends,
является
which our
Башкортостан.
country values,
Визита
and we value our friend, the Republic of Bashkortostan.
очень
Today we established some new milestones
фундамент того сотрудничества, над которым
of our cooperation,
работаем вместе с
which we are moving towards.
Республикой Башкортостан.
We established those milestones with Mr. Khabirov,
Активных и
and I wish you fruitful and effective negotiations during the Congress. Thank you.
На сцену
Please welcome the participant of our Congress, Strategy 20 and New Challenges, Prime Minister of the Government of the Republic of Bashkortostan, Andrei Nazarov.
Председатель правления государственной компании «Автодор» Вячеслав
Please welcome Vyacheslav Petrovich Petushenko, Chair of the Board of Автодор Group of Companies.
директор ПАО «КамАЗ» Сергей Анатольевич Когот.
And Sergei Kagogin, Chief Executive Officer of KamAZ.
Президент фонда Сколково Алексей Игоревич Беляков.
And Alexei Belikov, the Vice President of Skolkovo Foundation.
Заседание российская журналистка и телеведущая Марианна.
And please welcome Mariana Maximovskaya, Russian journalist and TV presenter, the moderator.
Ну что ж, добрый день.
Well, good afternoon, my friends. Good afternoon to our speakers. I am very glad to meet you here at the plenary session of the International Congress of Transportation. And I must say that soon we're gonna have a live meeting of the meeting with Irek Anvarovich.
Звучит так: стратегия 2030.
But today's meeting is called Strategy 2030, Construction and Transport, New Challenges. And I might say that challenges, there are enough of them. But the transportation industry in Russia probably had to face the most of the sanctions. And the whole economy starts to be immobilized. But the construction industry, for the construction industry this year been highly active, and the transportation infrastructure. So now sanctions are changing a lot of things. We will talk about that later, and we will discuss the strategies. And we have a first question that I would like to address to Andrei Gennadievich. Andrei Gennadievich, good afternoon. Let's speak about sanctions first. I think that it's the main topic for today. So how is your region, Bashkortostan, does feel yourself in the events? Are there any big projects that have been frozen? Or did you somehow adapt to the new environment? Thank you very much for the question and for the discussion, and that you arrived here to support us to the International Congress, which is going to be annual now, and we would like our participants and experts to be wider, so it won't be just interesting, but it could be, the information given would be useful. Because our country is facing big challenges, and we have to now to find new ways and new opportunities, and comfort and security of the peoples are at stake. And topics that are commonly discussed now is transportation, besides the healthcare institutions, and this is one of the main paths of discussion, so I brought some data here. As you see, the GDP takes 6 to 12% of the world, and in Republic of Bashkortostan it takes 7.5%. Transportation is 9% in the world, and Russia it's 7.1%, and in Bashkortostan is 6.1%. So you can see that statistics shows that it's one of the most important global questions that needs to be discussed, and the decisions have to be found, must be found. The construction of building and roads and transports are very important for Bashkortostan, because we are at the edge of between Europe and Asia, and we have a lot of ways for the railways, and we have highways of the federal significance. You know, Bashkortostan has a huge territory, 1,000 square kilometers. I would like to remind you, it's twice bigger than Tatarstan. But having a huge territory is not cheap. because highways and roads to be built, that challenge is bearable, but it's really very hard. And according to our stats, we're just Altai goes ahead of us. And the sphere of our interest and concern. And what about the development of the ways? We did not stop. We have a lot of ways and solutions for the highways and the federal roads. We have now building a federal highway between Russia and China. And we have more possibilities because some of the roads are passing through Bashkortostan. With the help of federal funds and private funds, we are now building the eastern way from Ufa, which is one of the biggest projects in Russian Federation. It costs 43 billion rubles, and starting with next year, we're expecting it to finish. So it will give us additional opportunities to make an exit to the federal highway M5. And what about transportation? The tasks are big as well, because the head of Republic decided to radicalize the decisions to make reforms. We removed all the old buses called PAZ, P-A-Z, now, and we added 1,000 more new buses for the comfort travel of our citizens. And thus we created transportation card ALGA, means the forward, which allows to every third citizen of Bashkortostan use it and have discounts. And what about interchangeable export? We did that work with KAMAZ. And tomorrow with Andrei Anatolyevich, we're moving to Neftekamsk. That's one of our ways of work. And company Kadru, where we dig the capsule. That's one of the things that arrived and will keep arriving instead of export cars. And we saved some money from the budget to purchase that kind of ways of transportation. So we can and another ways of transportation is water vehicles. For example, if 2020 was 1.5 billion of transport, but last year it was 1.2 million. The main because we have one of the biggest rivers here in Ufa called Bela River, and now we're developing the river tourism using the boats, and it brings us really good results. Maybe I'd like to add, and taking into consideration all types of vehicles and ways, the way where we're developing, we are also develop the by road services, and we have 88 big projects. And another 2 years we want to raise the amount up to 2,000. And it's important. And it's important for the person not to take the means of vehicle, but to reach the destination itself. It doesn't matter by water, by road, by railway, and we have a lot of internet services that allows us for our citizens and passengers to pick up the transportation they want. And one of the ways of our work is if you allow to tell me, I'm finished with the transportation, but let's speak about the construction. I'm sorry, but I want to speak that out. And what about construction? Construction is always about money, of course. You can't construct without having money. And during the pandemics, when we were making decisions and we had the difficulties which costed us 90 billion rubles that touched the construction field. And I will speak about that later. When we had that situation in February with sanctions, we took the measures to 54 billion rubles and supported our construction field. And mortgage, which allow to our citizens to pick up what kind of rate they want to, and it allows us to improve the sales. And the project that was initiated of the accommodation and mortgage, we are the first region in Russia who developed that system fully. And continuing our topic on the big projects, the budget infrastructure loans will be on its way, almost 19.5 billion rubles, and 21 biggest project is the south gates of Ufa and the development of Neftekamsk and complex. An additional 6 billion square meters of accommodation for our citizens in 15 years. We want, which will be created additionally, and the support of our region, which is almost 13 billion, which is more than 20 objects that will give us more flexibility in the construction of accommodation.
Without the advanced technologies, you cannot ensure good construction. Mr. Husnulin said that our future task is to work with biotechnologies, so we are working in that direction. We launched projects in 17 institutions. Our task is to, as soon as possible, shift to the new technologies, not to avoid the necessity to adjust the system last minute. The administrative issues are also important for construction. We need to reduce the terms and simplify the procedures. When we encountered the pandemic, we started constructing COVID hospitals, and it took us only 55 days to build. We ordered the equipment and construction materials, erected the construction, and put it into operation, and only took us 55 days. If we took it a normal way, we would just draw the project, then place an order, then wait for shipment, then erection, then putting into operation, commissioning. It would take us 1.5 years, but we had a shortcut. Finalizing my speech, I would like to say that today I see a lot of developers. Yesterday we had a meeting. We had a meeting of developers associations, and I would like to say that by 2030 we are supposed to accomplish an ambitious goal to annually deliver 120 million square meters of housing. It's twice as much as today, but I'm convinced that it's possible because this year we plan to deliver around 3 million square meters. Last year we made 1.9. That's why we believe that even despite the restrictions and limitations, we will not set our construction back because we have a new project that we are going to introduce. It's the new Ufa. It looks a lot like the new Moscow, maybe it's a little bit smaller because Bashkortostan is smaller, but we aspire
Поэтому здесь
alike goals and alike objectives. Bashkortostan has been a leader in Russia in terms of construction and transport, including housing construction. We are now in top 7, and we are going to maintain this position, and I guess that would even move higher in the rating. And I am convinced that you are not wasting your time here. We are ready to work with you. We have a space to work. We provide opportunities. We can provide you with special terms and preferences and privileges and partnerships
вы работали
in order to make your work more comfortable here rather than in other regions. We are not competing, we're just taking care.
для жизни, ну и
We are not only the best for living, but also for leading a business. Thank you for coming.
Андрей Геннадьевич,
Mr. Nazarov,
сорвали аплодисменты, но
you already deserve an applause, but I would like to ask you a few questions. You have a very detailed report, and you also mentioned public transit, and I know that it's an active aspect in Ufa, and Ufa citizens love the public transit. Did you have to sacrifice any large projects due to the disrupted supply chains because of the lack of spare parts and components, and due to other reasons that are relevant nowadays?
сначала ощущение, что мы
We felt like we might
существенную проблему из-за
be affected by disrupted supply chains.
отказа некоторых поставщиков поставок.
We expected some suppliers to refuse to ship some goods. That's why we established a center of procurement and import substitution. This center was supposed to help our companies to look for new
Безработица
suppliers. But I would like to say that our unemployment rate dropped because we expected the unemployment rate to be higher, and actually the unemployment rate dropped so far, and all the companies have been provided with whatever they need, and I guess that most of our companies have more work to do than they had before February 2022.
и когда
We managed to maintain the
заниматься тем,
ongoing projects,
например,
and our first reaction was to maintain the supply chains of accumulating batteries. We started looking for new suppliers
вердикт,
straight away, and actually most of our concerns never came true, mainly because
нашлись другие поставщики.
we found new suppliers and vendors and new solutions.
Честно признаться, есть
Of course, frankly speaking, we have concerns that these circumstances may extend to the next year,
объемов,
and probably we will have reduced turnovers, but we haven't faced that yet, and we are witnessing the situation otherwise.
важно, мне кажется,
I would like to raise a new and very important topic is the responsibility of the government. You mentioned that you launched a new mortgage program for people to be able to buy
состояние поддержки
apartments. And are you supporting businesses that was exposed to sanction pressure?
как таковой бизнес, он
You know,
весь попал, да?
all of our businesses were exposed,
Много,
but
но мы
some particular companies,
что
there are few. We understand that it's challenging for them to work, so we meet them halfway. For example, we have a company that for some reason was exposed to personal sanctions, and that's why they got refusals in terms of loans, and they failed to
должен был определенную работу выполнить. Мы с пониманием пошли.
fulfill their obligations under state contract, and we met this company halfway and allowed them to extend the terms of the contract. So there are cases, these are particular cases,
Те пакеты мер
but mostly the toolkit of support that we provided is aimed at helping companies and supporting companies, facilitating them, and we pay special attention to strategical enterprises, and we also take into account other enterprises, and we want to draw the attention of the government to the companies that really need the support. We advocate
Здесь всегда использовать
for
бизнеса, потому что
administrative resource being for people, because often public officials
для бизнеса
have administrative resources and it takes companies time to reach out to them.
чем сам
Sometimes obtaining documents takes more time than construction itself, and that's why
эти сроки уменьшить само количество,
we undertake a systematic approach
для того, чтобы
and want to reduce the terms for document obtaining. We want to reduce this bureaucracy. And does business approach to you for help?
если
Yes, they do.
в среднем бизнесе это
SMEs
вот во время пандемии.
are really taken care of.
Второе,
For example, during the pandemic, we provided support to 50% of companies. Now, we established the Developers Association of the Republic of Bashkortostan. We regularly visit them. They show us, tell us what problems they have, what ideas they have, and we listen to them. And together we are moving towards common solutions in order to
эффективной.
provide the best efficiency of our work and the most comfortable business environment. And I guess that you have a very favorable location. You said that Bashkortostan lays right in between Asia and Europe, and since ancient time, it's been a crucial territory. So I guess that Bashkortostan has some extra opportunities.
Началом
Bashkortostan is the start of civilization, and it's the bottom line of civilization. There are evidences of that. For example, if you visited Shulgandash or Kapova cave, you should have seen
там были обнаружены, показали сейчас
pictograms of ancient people.
этих мест.
And now the world is populated by people who originated from ancient people living in those caves. So if you haven't bought
Потом очередь будет.
any real estate in Bashkortostan, don't stretch it too much because you may be late. Yeah, so Bashkortostan has a very good potential for new logistics routes. And that's why we have so many people now sitting in the hall today.
На связи с режиссером
I am keeping in touch with our technical staff,
подключиться. Вот мне говорит
and I guess that a minister should join us in a minute,
министр, так что давайте
and the minister will join us any minute soon. So let me just say a few things while we have still 30 or 40 seconds. What advantages would you outline in Bashkortostan? We understand the disadvantages. Everyone understands the disadvantages,
А вот плюсы. Вот на
more or less. What are advantages of
западными путями азиатскими
your geographical location between Asia and
административно
Europe?
правильно.
You spoke about the administrative resource.
Ну, во-первых,
Yeah.
большая.
We have a vast territory with a good location.
Городов.
Around us we have 5 million cities. It's Chelyabinsk, Samara, Yekaterinburg, Kazan.
В общем, 5 миллионников городов
These are 5 cities with a population over 1 million people.
в непосредственной близости примерно 500
And in the nearest vicinity, 600 kilometers away from Ufa, we have over 1,000 of
шестидневных
fossils, formations,
месторождений, которые позволяют нам, возможно,
and these fields
иметь
of fossils allow us to extract copper, zinc,
большое количество
gold,
дает естественно
and numerous fossils.
бизнес,
And these are extra opportunities for business and work,
производство.
for establishment of production. We spoke about logistics. It's easily to use Bashkortostan as a route unit.
завод.
That's why Avtodor decided to establish the plant here, because it's very convenient to sell and ship goods from Ufa, from Bashkortostan. Speaking about housing constructions, why is it
Недорогая.
beneficial to invest? Because land is relatively cheap, and the human resources, human power is relatively cheap in comparison to Moscow region, for example. But in Ufa we have very comfortable, cutting-edge
Метр. Это, в общем, цена московского.
apartments, and a square meter in the downtown can cost 200,000 rubles per square meter. It's comparable to Moscow.
Что работает.
I also assume that our public officials are also working
Несколько причин.
towards the business to meet them halfway. So I guess that's the list of reasons why you should go to Bashkortostan, and leaving alone the beauty of the nature, the landscape, the forest, the rivers, the mountains, the beautiful people who are kind, friendly, and open-hearted.
Приехать и
So I guess everyone should visit Bashkortostan at least.
The speaker starts speaking about does the industry need for some corrections to be implemented on those platforms due to the sanctions. I'd like to remind you that transportation strategy by the government on the last year, on the June, during the meeting with the road industry, transportation industry, President of our country set the 5-year development program, and those who are older probably remember that for the modern Russia, 5-year plan was absent because there were some periods where it wasn't possible to think strategically. So creating the 5-year plan allowed us, it was June, I would remind you, sanctions were already there. Something that did not affect it, I wouldn't say so, but the main ways are is the transportational connection of our country, is the digital transformation of our industry, increasing the volume and the speed of the cargo delivery, and the development of the internal tourism are the main ideas of the transportational industry. That's the way we live. The main task was creating the speed roads in Russia. Corridor north-south, east-west. The one is from the St. Petersburg to the Black Sea, and we're almost finished it. There could be some moments that would be affected by but it works. And the second part is developing roads west-east. For example, we have Belarus, starting from the borders of Belarus through Moscow to Nizhny Novgorod, Kazan, and last year, when we were finishing and the road, President gave us a task to go up to Yekaterinburg in Chelyabinsk and to Tumen. Yekaterinburg, we have a new goal that goes through the Republic of Bashkortostan. It's 40 kilometers out of 275. It's a brand new construction that has just only begun. Wait, I know you have a little video on this topic. Well, let's take it of you. In 2020, a start was given for the construction of the M12 highway. 811 kilometers in total. from Moscow to Kazan in 6.5 hours. More than 60% of the population could travel at a higher speed. 2022, 106 kilometers. 2023, 86. Today, more than 400 kilometers were already built. 33,000 of three unique bridges were built. 28,000 people built it together. 8,000 machinery are involved in the construction. Through Ufa, Perm and Yekaterinburg. The continuation of M12 to Yekaterinburg. New construction, 425 kilometers. New workplaces, 30,000. Project was divided into 3 steps. More than 1,600. And it will be the part of the big highway corridor, M12. With us, cities are getting closer and range getting smaller. Do we understand that it's gonna be finished besides all the facts that we mentioned above? The highway will be built anyway. Government controls it. In the point of view of funding, the point of the highway is not that it's long or a speedway, it's a speedway. We are measuring the distance by time, not the time. So our first stage is up to Kazan. We go 6. We used to drive like in 17-20 hours. Now we're gonna get there in 6-7 hours, and we are aimed to stretch the highway speedway up to Yekaterinburg. And there ain't gonna be any traffic lights there. Just straightforward. And every 65 kilometers there will be a service station built. For example, driver at 8 a.m. went to Kazan, had a rest, and by the middle of the day he will be at Yekaterinburg. And you know, to believe it, you need to drive the highway Moscow to St. Petersburg. It's the same speedway. That's what we are aiming to. Yekaterinburg, 17 hours, thousands of kilometers. Time, we understand. It's the price of the goods, production, availability to use the transportation more efficiently. It's internal tourism. You know, this year we saw the time we spent on the road due to, and even due to that, south roads were closed. Possibilities of the railways, they are what they are. But the highways, we use it because we have our own personal vehicles. And we understand that. We understood that people want to drive, and we must provide them with a service that would allow them, without any hesitation, that he'll be standing somewhere in a traffic jam. So how we usually drive to Moscow from Bashkortostan. First we go there, then go down there. So it's one of our main goals, and we're taking into consideration some technical things. For example, from Yekaterinburg to the Black Sea, via Horda to the Caspian Sea, and the events in which we are living nowadays, and the territories that are to be developed very soon will allow to develop our country itself. And if we speak about the services, you used that word yourself.
Вот вы как
Have you any agreement with the regions how it's going to look like, the whole infrastructure? If it's important, it's going to be one-styled services and via in the same amount of kilometers, or maybe you have been talking about it with Andrei Gennadievich. You said 140 kilometers, right? The length of the highway.
140 километров Башкортостану. В принципе,
Yeah, it's the new highway, 140 kilometers long, 75 kilometers are new,
автомобилисты, если я
and all drivers,
легенды, как все это здорово,
it's not legends, it's what I heard from drivers.
которые мои слова там
The drivers confirm what I'm going to say.
вот мы работаем на скоростных дорогах.
We work on highways, and these are toll roads.
Вот на сегодняшний день
And today,
за там вот 12
toll roads attracted
миллиардов рублей, которые нам нужно отдать.
424 billion rubles of investments that we will have to pay back. But we spend this money to construct roads.
Корзина будет уже
And we have
миллион.
that basket worth 1 trillion rubles. It's a scary number, but
Приходится в том числе и оплатить. Что касается сервиса,
it's something that we have to do. Speaking about roadside services, we studied international experience.
себя в первую очередь
We were discussing it
главным человеком, который пользуется
with the key person
конечно, с регионом.
on the road, I mean the driver, and with the regions.
Было построить ЗС,
You used to have to go through heaven and hell in order to
совершенно
enter the investment market of roadside services, but we actually taken the roadside services into account at the stage of design.
заправки, функциональный зов, который
And we developed the project of 3 twin service and filling stations.
уже на трассе Москва-Санкт-Петербург.
One of those complexes is being developed on the highway to Moscow. Also, we are introducing gas filling stations. And is it too early to ask about charging stations for electric vehicles?
Можно проехать на
Today, you can travel from Moscow to St. Petersburg on an electric car. On M4 highway, there are a few, just a few, but there are a few charging stations.
вот эти зоны от 5 там, до 15 гектар.
These complex zones with 3 or 4 hectares of area can be connected to the highway. And these land parcels are subject to bidding part by part.
Возможности есть. АЗС раз,
And we are building
мы из КамАЗа в
gas filling stations and servicing stations.
переговорах, чтобы на трассе М12
Now we are at the active stage of negotiation to build
большую зону
a big servicing zone for KAMAZ at M12 at the kilometer 82.
питания.
We want to give them high-quality food, high-quality petroleum, high-quality services, opportunities to get rested, and this new format will love to reach this. Are you capable of implementing this project? Yeah, I am. And why do you have only one project? Well, we have a lot of projects planned.
Потому что родина КамАЗа — Татарстан.
We want to launch it in Tatarstan because it's the place where KAMAZ originates from.
И должно быть как раз на трассе много для того, чтобы сервис.
Yeah, the highway needs a lot of such zones, I understand. And I'm not getting the idea about charging stations. I get the stations between Moscow and St. Petersburg, but what about other destinations?
Вы потянулись к микрофону.
Вячеслав Петрович.
Well, I'm not entitled to speak about that, Well, I guess that we should ask the Minister of Transport about that.
Нас слушает. Поэтому
But I guess it's a question that anyone would ask who is listening to us. So what are the plans?
Их 12 штук, 6 отключили.
Well, the
Достаточно.
charging stations between Moscow amounted to 12, but half of them were shut down because of lack of the electrical vehicles. But maybe you can become the role model.
Должны по трассе М11 беспилотники запустить.
Yeah, we actually focus on unmanned vehicles because we are supposed to launch
Которые сегодня у нас есть.
unmanned vehicles down the M4 highway.
Нужно будет
We have spaces, and we will adjust towards the demand. If we will have prevailing electrical vehicles, we will have no other option but build charging stations.
что-нибудь делать беспилотно.
And what unmanned
Создают
vehicles will be doing?
зоны беспилотного вождения.
On M11 highway, we will launch a piece of the road meant for unmanned vehicles. You cannot use unmanned vehicles yet on public roads.
И поехал, нужно.
And if you want to launch unmanned vehicles, you need to facilitate special area. And in this case, we are constructing the relevant infrastructure.
Ну, пока там где-то водитель, может, рядом посидит, а потом
At the first place, like during the earlier times, the driver will be present in the vehicle
Слушайте, точно.
because the vehicle have to prove being accident-free. I haven't heard about that. When are you going to launch this? Next year. Next year you will have this piece of the road where unmanned vehicles will be driving. Yes, that's right. Are these cargo vehicles? Yeah, that's main road rolling stock that will be
Это прямо
shipping cargoes from Moscow to St. Petersburg and back. Yeah, the future is here. That's impressive.
ну, который сдали в прошлом году,
We haven't spoken about it, but we completed a project last year, and it was a cutting-edge project, and it faced a high demand.
инфраструктуру мы уже под нее тоже готовим.
And you should be aware that we are preparing infrastructure as far as to Kazan.
понятно.
It's very impressive to hear such strategic
Без
ideas.
оплаты.
I remember the time when Moscow and St. Petersburg for the first time tried contact-free payments.
Ну, извините, можно я такое слово скажу, просто примочки технологий
And all of these technical features
украшают нашу жизнь и упрощают
make our lives better, make our lives easier.
выглядеть.
And how will they look like under current circumstances? It's clear that components and technological solutions are restricted by sanctions. How are you going to
Ощущение ваших дорог.
dodge that?
В этом году, слава богу, у нас по всему,
This year, thankfully, we maintain some technologies. We have some things in stock, so to say.
делаем свою работу,
We stock up and we plan everything ahead.
поэтому как-то не коснется.
So I don't think it's going to be a problem.
Там проблем не скажу совершенно.
I wouldn't say that we will have no problem at all,
Есть в стране предприятия,
but our enterprises
с точки зрения
in our field
систем управления дорожного движения,
with technologies of automated traffic management,
работников.
including unmanned vehicles
На сегодня
management,
те технические решения,
all these enterprises provide us with relevant technical solutions.
дорожную технику, там не буду
I mean, road machinery,
гораздо
I
сложнее.
want to stick
Есть, но вот
to my field when I'm speaking, but all these features will be provided in a best way. That's what I think, because
в ближайшем времени
I hope that
и в том
soon
числе в зале
our colleagues in this hall and outside
Башкирии тоже воспользуются тот же элементарный транспондер, который
will be using
проезжать. Это же самое,
transportation facilities
не останавливаешься, действительно. Это
that you can drive through without stopping, because it will save your time.
мы нашли, так
Nevertheless,
попалось где-то,
we found a way for import substitution because we used to purchase the equipment outside the country, but now we managed to import substitute this equipment. So you actually are spreading these technologies across the countries. Yes, that's right. Okay, thank you. Let's continue.
Вот про стратегию КАМАЗа.
Speaking about KAMAZ strategy under new limitations, I would like to ask
Замещение, но я имею
food
буквально вот
import substitution,
там, да, в сельском хозяйстве России потребовал,
agricultural products.
начиная с
It took
2014 года, вот я помню, как
Russia 8 years to accomplish. I remember that in 2014, people were traveling from abroad bringing cheese because cheese and other food products are produced in Russia, and we import substituted this industry very successfully. And actually, surprisingly, the sanctions were found even beneficial. But in transportation, it's a little bit different because I see that logistics and transportation really rely on globalization and cooperation.
Являлся
Yeah, KAMAZ
акционеров не только
used to be an international company with a lot of shareholders, with a lot of partners.
но
But
мы всегда стремились к тому, что
we've all been aspiring for KAMAZ
зависим
to be independent enough,
компонент.
independent in terms of key components.
Либо в-
We produce things, or we had partners to supply us,
И когда
but
события,
when the known events happened, our partners left.
и они
They were forced to leave. They weren't happy to leave
инвестиции,
because
стой,
we were speaking about huge investments. We are the fifth or the sixth market
соответственно,
for them, but
были вынуждены
they were forced to leave, and we had to restructurize our strategy, and we came over this period quite sustainably.
сказано, потому что вот
So, are you sure you're saying that because some companies are apprehensive?
санкционного давления.
Under sanctions,
Я не люблю потом рассказывать на эти темы.
I don't want to
Компания
speak too much. Our company operates. It has sustainable and stable finances.
решает.
The economy of our country will outline the rest.
Проблемы, ну,
We may see problems,
говорил Андрей Геннадьевич,
as Mr. Nazarov said, and Mr. Petoshenko said, nothing changed.
высшая скорость
The
решения должна быть.
requirements
Ну, будем
are growing, are getting more strict, and we need to conform, we need to keep up.
там 100 километров дороги,
If we want to build 100 kilometers of road,
насколько качественно,
Mr. Petoshenko is interested in the quality
соответственно,
and the terms and price.
в транспорте.
Construction, transportation, all the same.
Говорим эффективность.
We are speaking about efficiency,
Значит,
work capacity.
пример, что
Mr. Petoshenko made
так,
an example that it should take 6 hours to reach Kazan. In terms of cargo shipments, you can see our key vehicle. You can flip the slide. You can imagine that today the route between Moscow and Kazan
достаточно большой.
takes
У нас
quite a while.
нормативно зарегулировано
We have very strict requirements to the transportation activity. The driver cannot drive longer than 4 hours. After that, he should take a break. The total
километров после пробега
length
тоже отдыхать.
is 8 hours.
Да,
After 400 kilometers, the driver have to rest.
из Москвы до Казани доедет,
And if they reach
производительность труда в 3 раза.
Moscow, if he reaches Kazan, leaving Moscow within 6 hours, we improve efficiency by 3 times.
Производитель тоже стремится.
Being car manufacturers, we are doing a lot of work.
Вот,
You can see what our product line looks like.
базовый по коммерческому транспорту нашей страны есть.
We are the basic enterpriser supplying commercial transport, and we really take care of the safety. After February 24th, we have a power to do that.
Встали
Within short term, a lot of manufacturers
автомобили.
left.
Это определенные
In
неудобства.
terms of lightweight vehicles,
Человеческого транспорта это остановка.
The population felt just some
Во всех
discomfort. In terms of commercial transport, it would freeze the economy
техника.
because we still have a high need in commercial machinery, construction machinery, outlanders.
Самого транспортного
So
средства.
we keep working on increasing efficiency and care of the human well-being.
Нашу традиционную кабину, как
Comparing our
при
cabin,
создании нашего КАМАЗа, она была 5 метров кубических объемом. Сейчас
it used to be 5 cubic meters in volume, now it's 9.
человек мог
We ensured whatever it takes to people to be comfortable. So it's before and after photos, yeah.
рабочего места водителя.
We take care of the ergonomics of the driver's work. We don't want the driver to get tired. We want them to feel comfortable. We were creating the workplace for the driver. We want it to be as comfortable as in luxury trucks. What affects the
И
efficiency?
эффективность транспорта. Конечно, удельный расход топлива.
It's the
Вы спроектировали,
fuel flow rate.
добились одного из
For example, we have one of the most efficient engines in terms of fuel consumption.
межсервисный интервал вы
Also, we want to extend our mean time before failure.
до сервисного обслуживания. Вот если мы там раньше мечтали,
We used to
Потом-
dream about 30
Мужчин.
kilometers or 60 kilometers
здорово,
mean
сейчас это
time before failure. Now we have 150,000 kilometers
центр
mean time before failure.
показано, что при доливе израсходного масла
If you fill in the engine oil,
километров,
the mean time before failure
это вот приблизительно
and without filling the oil is 240,000 kilometers.
функции выполнили.
We accomplished all these functions
Представьте себе, за кор-
and we presented all these functions to the market within a short term.
более
Our vehicle became even more popular than other luxury trucks.
очень много мы взяли. Вот.
I say that we borrowed something from Mercedes,
И вот таким образом мы проделали
and this way
нашего
we made a revolution in our vehicles.
работников
We
предприятия,
convinced our employees
которые может
that
поколению
we
как
can go
что
to
это принципиально разное.
K5 generation after K3 because
На
it's
сегодня спроектировать такой автомобиль способен,
qualitatively better vehicle.
что К5
We
поколение
expect that K5 generation
в первом квартале
will be launched in the first quarter of 2023.
будем с продуктом, который
But we are not presenting
сегодня мы выходим
a raw or an existing project.
даст нашему потребителю новые
We
свойства.
will
Как в области комфорта,
give new properties to our customers, new technical
строительства,
parameters.
самосвалы, вот К5 это
Dump trucks,
то есть все это идет, мы
cement trucks
так, чтобы наш потребитель
will meet the best demands of our
мог
customers, and we want our customers
что
to pay a high price for the best efficiency.
здесь
In terms of passenger transport,
мы производим
over the years that we've been producing buses,
как
we also made a huge leap
так и в области
in terms of traditional and innovative transportation.
На вашем
I actually traveled by your electrical bus, and I know what they look like.
Москве вот
They are very popular in Moscow,
ездят.
слава богу,
and they are operating very well. Yeah, I'm glad to know that Moscow operates around 1,000 electric buses. Yeah, that's what we do.
ну, электробус это
What is important is that electrical buses are green.
вот, очень много же рассуждений по поводу электрического транспорта.
There is a lot of speculation about
При
electrical vehicles, about production of batteries and disposal of batteries. But on our big planet, most of the population is in the cities. And if
в
we
первую очередь там и создаем
fight for environment there, we are creating the best conditions for our city residents. And the electrical buses for passengers and workers is something that helps to take care of the health of people and create
городских агломерациях.
environment of the large city agglomerations.
Разработку электробуса
We are funding development of electrical bus just in case.
мировые.
There are global markets,
переговоров с
but
Москвой
when we
выявил, что они думают,
started negotiations with
языка.
Moscow, we realized that they are thinking
Проект
just the way we do,
это позволит
and we implemented these
серийный продукт
projects very shortly
нашего завода
and launched the serial production of this
здесь на
product.
территории Республики Башкортостан.
One of the plants is
Он делал
situated in Bashkortostan.
пределах
It used to
8 миллиардов.
produce 7 or 8 billion worth of
Сумма
products,
30
but last year this amount
процентов.
was over 30 billion, and
То есть
most of the transport vehicles are passenger vehicles.
Какая эффективность,
So
какой
this is the efficiency, this is the strategy. We invest a lot, we contribute a lot to the product and production.
Технологии в
And technologies,
в
innovations,
разработке.
developments,
Сейчас как раз проблема, в том числе из-за
we
санкций.
lack them due to the sanctions.
Вы сами, вот вы сказали, вы
You
разрабатываете
said that you develop something,
покупателя.
and then you
Нашлись
found
на
a
разработку.
buyer and demand for your product.
Не знаю, у вас
Unfortunately, I don't know the
специалистов или
answer to this question. Are you training your specialists, your experts, or
центр,
do
куда
you
мы
have an R&D?
там, ну,
Этот
вузами
продукт
другими, да,
полностью наш.
специалистами?
This product is proprietary,
Наша это разработка наших
absolutely proprietary. Our R&D developed
набережных Челнах, часть
it.
Сколково.
Part of the R&D is in
Это
Набережные Челны, the other one is
Сейчас
in
мы идем по
Сколково.
достаточно серьезной локализации на территории нашей страны.
We are really
Понимается
reconquering our country
продукт, который
and creating the product that will be in demand. It's electrical
что оно,
vehicles
ну как вам
in
сказать,
particular.
в определенной степени было модой.
To a certain extent, it used to be a trend,
Ездили на электробусе, вы
but if you traveled by electric bus, you understand what
Тоже.
quality it has.
если ты сидишь за рулем электрического автомобиля.
And the same experience you get if you are driving an electric car.
Автомобили,
Recently, I tested cars that will be manufactured in Moscow.
бензиновую версию, электрическую.
I tested both
После того, как посидеть,
petroleum and electrical ones.
обратно не хочется.
And after you drive an electric car, you don't want to go to
Кроме
the
того, что мы занимаемся,
petroleum car anymore.
мы также понимаем, что мы
We are
клиент.
developing innovative products, and we realize that we need to offer our clients something new. We are not just selling iron.
И сразу пришли с
In
контрактом,
Moscow, we offered
мало
the turnkey contract.
упаковано самым
We provide
различным
complete vehicles complete with various systems like automated payments,
системам, которые позволяют
navigation,
пункту диспетчеризации получить очень много
that
информации
provides the dispatching center with a lot of information.
дорожным движением в
These systems facilitate traffic regulation services
различных ситуациях.
and help in different situations. For example,
Говорим о строительстве. Мы
today we're talking about constructions. We formed a spear sharing system.
на одной платформе
It allows
собрать владельцев
to gather owners of construction machinery at one platform and consumers.
в году. Объем
This year, the turnover through this service was over 1 billion rubles.
это резко повысило эффективность
It boosted
строительства.
dramatically the efficiency of construction. Now you don't need to buy a dump truck.
Месяца работы он может пойти взять в аренду,
If the work takes 3 months,
строить что-то.
you can lease machinery,
Средства не нужно, оно
and
употребить.
after that they can say, okay, I don't need this anymore. And
Потому как работают,
the providers of machinery can start looking for new clients.
например, такая компания, как Башнефть,
For example, Bashneft is actively using this service.
то есть они, видимо, решили кучу своих проблем по
They solved a lot of their problems in terms of using special machinery
пока
through this service.
сервис.
So now we are showing this service. It's as simple as that. One day Moscow asked us to participate
Одного сервиса это был
in the development of another service. It was made in association with an American company.
они
In
сказали,
March,
мы вынуждены уйти.
they shut down the project. They had to
3
leave.
месяца
We had 3 months
до 15 марта до 15
before
марта.
March the 15th, between March 15th and May 15th, for our IT specialists to
Удалось?
substitute the project. Did you succeed?
Видите,
Раз
написано.
показываете.
As you can see, yeah, if you show the picture, then you succeeded.
ставит
Yeah, 98%
Этот
of passengers give us the assessment of 4 or 5 stars. In the new Moscow,
прокладывать
they needed
маршрут,
to
соответствующий.
make bus routes according to the standards. And we see that the average walking distance is 500 meters between the bus stations.
Останавливается. Все идет через...
And whenever the microbus stops, you can
Езжает там, по-моему, около...
order a car. The waiting time is 10 minutes, so you get on and pay.
Горжусь.
It works, and I'm very proud that young boys in Набережные Челны and St. Petersburg managed to accomplish such a complicated task within a very squeezed
Отличный сервис. Вот
time frame.
Тот самый случай.
Yeah, that's impressive. That's something created exactly for people. Yeah, we used some experience of
Эта сфера в себе. ВИА
America. They included 90 cities in their
активно работает. Очень хороший сервис.
cities. It's a very good service. They've been working for many years to cover this international network of cities.
Решений очень много. Вот.
There is
Мы идем
plenty thanks to
строителями,
improve.
мы идем вместе
We are moving in alignment with constructors,
региональными властями,
local governments, federal public authorities, and we give the vision
нашей деятельности, которую
of
считаем будет
our business that will improve the environment.
о электричестве. Вот я
Speaking
считаю,
about electric cars, for example.
в это время
Now it's time
многофункциональности топлива,
for multifunctional fuel
топливных системах,
or fuel systems like diesel or petroleum or gas and electricity.
планку в России по эффективности,
Top one
конечно, газ.
efficiency is given to gas.
То, что говорим о том, что надо создавать инфраструктуру,
We need to create infrastructure for charging stations, but we lack electric vehicles.
около 10 лет. Сейчас
Gas took us 10 years to adopt,
инфраструктура
and the infrastructure started to develop very quickly.
частным компаниям
And to the other private companies that Novatech is working with the gas, thank you, but
скорость
where's the speed of development, the amount of transport, gas transport, are not allowing
равнодушными.
to stay calm. There is a right example for it. St. Petersburg to Moscow, we did a couple of industrial machinery, and we made it to work with the gas. So the clients purchased it very good, and they won.
Какая эффективность?
But it's been working like 6 hours. It's very high efficiency. All new means of vehicles, all the transportation, they require investments, funding from the government. If it's not to be done, you may just forget about it. Electrical transport, I know that it will take its place in our life because it's going as it goes. It's like a natural thing that the price for the gas rise and the price for the electricity rise. You know, for now, while the stabilization did not happen, there will be no progress.
Об их будущем.
And you have to be careful about the future and talk about the future. But that amount of investments that was done by China, by European countries, by USA, out of concerns, all of these countries spent billions of dollars into that direction. But so if you abandon that direction, a lot of companies will go bankrupt. They will not be able to survive. So that's why it must be developed further. But our country, besides of our weather, but the efficiency during our weather will be proved.
Разработки, но не только.
It's like all new creations, technological, new business are done in Moscow. They're first tested in Moscow. Of course, they have money, the power, the possibilities, and such decisions are usually made there. And when Russian cities will be able to accept the electrical bus, car sharing type of services, taxi sharing services, and infrastructure with the services and the gas stations. I don't agree with you that innovation are implemented only through Moscow. No. They first of all have revolution a couple of years back in their heads. Because today, if we're going to count the initial cost of the vehicle that needs to be implemented, exploitation, it's much cheaper. If we consider the electrical bus, we keep a couple of electrical buses as tests. You know, UFA already did its test, and later they'll tell us their meaning, their opinion on it. We'll see. Oh, well, Andrew, it's not a provocative question. I just said that you did it. Wait. We will just sign a contract on the fields of the forum. That will be the first case when the multi-billion contract will be signed here at the forum. You know, we have the projects on developing the tramways. It's not developing as we expected it, but anyway, the contracts are signed for the billions which presume the investments, funding. We had some meetings, but the results of those meetings did not give us satisfaction. Of course, we are always cooperate with Sergei Anatolyevich. Yeah, we did the electrobus in Neftekamsk. If it's gonna be very popular, from all the cities that they pay interest, for example, like Sochi, the most development of the electrical transport are done in Sakhalin, on the Green Island, and they're moving there very actively. Economically based usage of electrical bus, we counted with the administration of Perm. It's not very far from here. New regions, so it requires a lot of investments to implement the electrical means of transport. And from I know it's very high anticipation that St. Petersburg give in that field, like the day charging, nighttime charge, and mainly contracts are for us is Moscow. As soon as we have the volume of work, it's just so that our company Neftekamsk kept its big, stable creation of the electrical transport. Of course. Beside the development of the economy towards the mobilization, we hope it's gonna be developing with its own strengths. So with this, Andrei Igorovich, I have a question for you. What about the interchangeable import? Today we were discussing that. We know that it's a really common problem. Do you have any tools that you would suggest to us? Well, I have the answer. It's yes. And I can say that Skolkovo Institution of Development rapidly changed their directions, and they suggest new instruments and tools, and they rearrange their old instruments. And how is it possible in one chain economy to perform such work? So the full cycle is formed already. If we're talking about industry and construction, there is a class of powerful goods, and we can say that any project today, including the projecting construction of a car, plane, without using such big IT systems, it's not possible at all. It's projects of class BEM, which is required by the life cycle of the product. The BIM platform that we were discussed during this forum, and IT systems on the engineering calculations and etc. So I think what Skolkovo what they do and what is useful is participation of such IT systems, and we have successful examples of with colleagues from KAMAZ, some Bashkir companies with implementing such systems. For example, company KAMAZ successfully implemented one of the components of the BLM systems on the assembly shop, which was developed by the Russian country with the help of Skolkovo Fund and by the residents of Skolkovo. And we have a lot of range projects that are highly supported in Bashkortostan, for example, Bashinformsvязь company, which is also supported by us, the institutional development. So yes, institutional development institution. First of all, it was the first. Second, we did our financial instruments more friendly for those for whom we smoothened the issues with the investments, and we increased the volume of investments on the development of the systems, and we expanded the dates of implementing of these projects. So now, yeah, we actively change and rearrange our instruments of support under those new realities. And that amount of supports that was given by us is more than 2 billion rubles. It's if we're talking about interchangeable export, and we have high demand for these products, and they're getting bigger and complex. Consortium of the customers. In here, I can see I see opportunity for director of Skolkovo and other IT companies that are left the market. I just feel that how startup Skolkovo is, they are very interested from the Russian in companies, and we see very good opportunity in it. Thank you very much. The time is almost up, but I would like at the end all the speakers to answer one question, like a blitz, in a blitz format. So the questions just have reason.
Ну а вот на самом деле в таких
In fact, in such cutting-edge industries like transportation and construction, can we rely on ourselves? Can we, without global cooperation, keep going?
я вас вот путаю отчество второй раз. Давайте с вас начнем.
So let's begin. Mr. Belikov,
Сложно, да,
I can't simply answer to this question
можно все.
because with the mobile economy, you can do whatever you want.
Глобализационной экономики. Вот и здесь, значит, надо понимать, что
You need to understand
попали в очень длительный цикл.
that we are in a long cycle. It will take at least 10 years.
Ну, совершенно точно
The project that we are launching now
с учетом вот таких очень длительных сроков.
will be implemented taking account such a long term. So that's probably no. We cannot rely on ourselves nowhere
Что если
in the world.
в срочной перспективе
Speaking about the long-term perspective, of course, we need to take into account the
кооперацию,
global cooperation
операционные цепочки, которые
And we
были
need to restructurize the cooperation chains with regards to the geopolitical situation. We need to rely on huge markets because
к сожалению, с Беларусью
Russia and Belarus together do not occupy enough of space, enough of market.
соответствующие импортозамещающие решения мы все-таки должны ориентироваться.
And in order to substitute imported goods, we need to rely on friendly markets. Mr. Petushenko?
Три, наверное, фактора, которые
Three factors
очень важные.
are key here.
Еще это воля, средства.
It's the will, means, and time.
Время,
Time,
наверное, очень долго. И
it will take time
чтобы быть полностью
to become completely independent.
время пройдет,
On the other hand, after some time, we will have to
процентов.
be independent.
Я думаю, что
I believe
вот сегодняшняя ситуация заставит нас этим делом заниматься.
that the time will show us what to do. Mr. Nazarov,
Вопрос, нужно ли это?
do we have to? Do we need to? The situation shows that we need to be independent.
Локализовать у себя, зачем вот заниматься созданием?
I didn't know why we should establish productions when there are such productions elsewhere, but the situation shows that
А это
for
вот
the sake of safety,
и комфорт, это и
for
вообще
the sake of comfort, for the sake of improvement of living standards,
ну,
we need to establish this production.
можно.
And it's possible to do in Russia.
В общем, что некоторое время на это понадобится.
I agree that it will take time. I agree with Mr. Petushenko.
10 лет, зависимо
From 3 to 8 years, it depends on the
10 лет. В рамках,
strategy that we are talking about.
ну, мало что возможно сделать прям полностью у себя все.
I don't know if we will manage to do everything in Russia or in Bashkortostan.
Продукции довести, наверное,
Maybe Bashkortostan is capable of
нам в рамках
handling the food chain from engineering to production and shipping, but should we overload the
у нас уже логистически
region? Probably we should focus on something that we already can do and something that we specialize in and have competence in. I guess from the point of safety, the Russian Federation should establish productions that can work
полностью,
with their own raw materials,
ну, и рынок, в общем, должен покрываться и
and the market and demand should be met by the original production. And we should
из этого, повторюсь, Башкортостан,
put safety as the top priority.
например, стран в мире производит
Only 5 countries in the world produce aviation engines, and Russia is one of them, and Bashkortostan is involved in this industry. Mr. Kagogin,
С точки зрения
from my point of view,
фактор, что наша страна
the
не
key factor is that our country was never isolated, despite of any political situation, and we are still members of the global economy.
жить
We need to go on living,
и
and you cannot live
но
isolated,
глобального продукта, глобальный,
because creating the global network
это, конечно, очень непростой вопрос.
is challenging.
Сейчас, включая наши компании, мы наработали очень много.
Our companies are experienced in many aspects. We have found some solutions, we are developing some solutions, and we need to find a way to
Глобальных продуктов
mine knowledge in our own products.
по-прежнему остается.
And I guess
Ну что ж,
we have the capacities to attain that.
спикеров благодарю.
We are done. Thank you, dear speakers. Thank you, dear participants of the Congress. The panel session is over. Have a good time. Goodbye.